We are live.
Yay! Quick shout out to my nephew Connor that's in the hospital. Went and took him a toy this morning. Uh, the he's keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's having a hard time right now. So there's that. He's an awesome little nephew. Loves his uncle Casey more than anything. So I had to take a toy from my personal. Didn't have time to go by and buy a toy. So one of my mini shelves that have figures on it, I grabbed one of the figures that I like the least, but I figured he'd like, um, and took it to him. It was the Hawkman from the uh, Black Adam movie. I like Hawkman; he's one of my favorite characters. But the way they did his feathers coming off his helmet, I can't stand the way it looks. So that's the one he got. But just keep me in thoughts and prayers, and hopefully everything comes out good. Um,
Ooh.
I am old new dude. He is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
This is Arya 5, A Clash of Kings. It's it's a pretty good little chapter. Like Richard was saying before we got on, there's a lot of plot to it. There's still little things here and there throughout it that are nice little nuggets from George. But if you've seen any of these videos, you know we start with the brains of the operation, which is Richard. He will say what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away, Richard.
Thank you, sir.
Hmm?
So in this chapter, Lobby and Hot Pie like to yield. When she climbed all the way up to the highest branch, Arya could see chimneys poking through the trees. Thatched roofs clustered along the shore of the lake and the small stream that emptied into it, and a wooden pier jutted out into the water beside a low, long building with a slate roof. She could see thin tendrils of smoke rising from some of the chimneys. Someone's there. Arya chewed her lip. All the other places they'd come upon had been empty and desolate. Farms, villages, castles, septs, barns. It made no matter. If it could burn, the Lannisters had burned it. If it could die, they'd killed it. Yes, I think Bjorn was correct to fight,
Yeah, I
despite
think
what
it works too.
despite what Lamy will claim later.
Yeah. At the end of that paragraph, the very last two words are, or last three, four words. The lake was afire. Uh,
Yeah,
I think it's just some foreshadowing on what we will
right,
see.
right. It's imagery that foreshadows the vision of on the Blackwater. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not real big on foreshadowing and catching it and calling it out, but when it's that obvious, I got to mark it down.
The axe blow that had killed him had split his skull apart, but the great tangled beard could be no one else's, or the garb, patched and unwashed and so faded it was more gray than black. Sir Amory and Lorch had given no more thought to burying his own dead than to those he had murdered, and the corpses of 4 Lannister men-at-arms were heaped near Yoren's. Arya wondered how many it had taken to bring them down. Some theorized this axe was Arya's fault. Yoren killed at least 4, so it
Mhm.
took some number higher than 4 to kill him. It's
Right.
pretty impressive.
Now, is that axe the same axe that she gave to?
That's what some people speculate is that maybe he's only dead because Arya gave him the axe. That's a that they overwhelmed him because they joined in on the fighting, and that's part of how they gained the Lannisters'
Yeah,
faith.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Well, and in general, I tend to think that whatever interpretation creates more dramatic irony is probably the best one.
Yeah, especially with George. I mean,
Yeah. Um, Some days, as they made their slow way up the muddy shore, Gendry wanted no part of any roads, and even Hot Pie and Lamy saw the sense in that. Arya felt as though the lake were calling her. She wanted to leap into those placid blue waters, to feel clean again, to swim and splash and bask in the sun. So it's an interesting compulsion. Perhaps the green men are calling? I don't know.
exactly.
She'd finally thrown away her cracked and rotted shoes. Walking barefoot was hard at first, but the blisters had finally broken, the cuts had healed, and her soles had turned to leather. Arya's practically Ironborn.
Just stop and think how much time and traveling that would have to be done for her to wear out her boots, um, get the blisters, let the blisters heal, for her feet to get into that state. I mean, I can't even comprehend how many miles she had to walk to get to that point.
What when Toodles is explaining that the Ironborn almost certainly tend to go barefoot, and that they always look at people's feet and then either declare something about their shoes, what kind of shoes they're wearing, or declare if they're Ironborn.
Yeah.
That one of the best examples of that is I'm pretty sure that that Asha is actually like walking around in snow and commenting on it and stuff. And so I think it's implied she's literally walking barefoot in the snow.
Ah.
Part of her wanted to be a swan.
Yep.
If this was after Bravos, she could. She had broken her fast on some acorn paste and a handful of bugs. So acorn paste reminds us of weirwood paste, and Arya is definitely gaining knowledge.
Definitely.
Lizzie says, I feel like it symbolizes their growth in a hard situation. When Danny got used to riding and her blisters popped, she gained a new outlook. Oh, good. It also corresponds with Danny. That's good. I like that.
Well, you got to stop and think about it, too. I mean, up till that point, Arya's hard path, it's been hard since she left Winterfell, but it's been extremely hard once she had no horse. It's taken it to a new physical level of yeah, definitely. That's extremely nice, Lizzie. Hey, Lady Fizzle. It's taken it to a new level. I mean, she's no longer the Lord's daughter. She got to pee in the water or in the woods. But the fact when she lost her boots and had to throw them away, and the hunger, it has taken her path to a whole new physical part of her travels. And then she's going to get even more rude awakenings here.
Yeah.
At the end of this chapter and in the next chapter. But, I mean, she's definitely got a hard road in front of her.
For a day or two, Curse swore the wound was nothing, even though the flesh of his throat was turning dark while angry red whelps crept up his jaw and down his chest. Then one morning he couldn't find the strength to get up, and by the next he was dead. We've seen that story before.
Yeah.
Kutchak had claimed his sword and hunting horn, while Tarver helped himself to bow and boots and knife. They'd taken it all when they left. At first, they thought the two had just gone hunting, that they'd soon return with game and food and feed them all. But they waited and waited until finally Genry made them move on. Maybe Tarver and Kutchak figured they would stand a better chance without a gaggle of orphan boys to hurry along. They probably would, too, but that didn't stop her hating them for leaving. Right. Obviously, she gets rid of her shoes and becomes Septon Marivold, who becomes Jaqen H'ghar. Duh!
There you go. Lizzie, you're on fire today. I'm going to go ahead and say they're the three people I am looking forward to meeting at Ice and FireCon the most, hands down, is Richard, Lizzie, and Lady Thistle. Now, the rest of our small group, I don't know if they're coming, but y'all are my top three that I cannot wait to meet y'all face to face. And throw down some knowledge, sit around the table, talk shit. I don't know. But,
absolutely.
Sorry.
I like how Arya's smart enough to understand their motive and also smart enough to understand they betrayed her.
Yeah.
A water dancer never falls. Lightfoot, her toes curled tight around the branch. She walked a few feet, hopped down to a larger limb, and swung hand over hand through the tangle of leaves until she reached the trunk. The bark was rough beneath her fingers, against her toes. She descended quickly, jumping down the final 6 feet, rolling when she landed. Arya's learned quite a bit, and she's right up there with Bran now. She never falls.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you get a lot of squirrel symbolism with Arya, even though that you should get a lot more wolf symbolism with her. But there's a lot of squirrel when it comes to Arya. Or cat. I mean, you probably throw it in as cat, especially later on what happens in Bravos.
Yeah, and LML would say that's Children of the Forest symbolism, right?
Yeah.
If there's people, there's food, Hot Pie said too loudly. Gendry was always telling them to be more quiet, but it never did any good. Might be they'd give us some. Might be they'd kill us too, Gendry said. Not if we yielded, Hot Pie said hopefully. Now you sound like Lamy. And one thing I do want to say there is that The hot pie being too loud could kind of be foreshadowing too. Not to mention that he's on the
Yeah,
deal.
I don't actually see the wisdom. I mean, I know it's to where she gets caught and all that stuff, and the plot keeps going. But the wisdom to bring Hot Pie sneaking through the woods and the bushes and all that kind of stuff it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I know she needs help, but
She thinks 2-on-2 they can take him, but I don't know that
yeah,
hot pie would be all that much use in a fight.
no.
We have to yield, he said. That's what Yorn should have done. Should have opened the gates, like they said. Arya was sick of Lobby going on about how Yorn should have yielded. It was all he talked about when they carried him. That and his leg and his empty belly. Hot Pie agreed. They told Yorn to open the gates. They told him in the king's name. You have to do what they tell you in the king's name. It was that stinky old man's fault. If he'd have yielded, they would have left us be. Gendry frowned. Knights and lordlings, they take each other captive and pay ransoms. They don't care if the likes of you yield or not. Gendry and Arya understand what is happening, and we've just been told that they kill everything that can be killed.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. You're into the you're on. He did the right thing.
Yeah. Her and Hot Pie and Lumby, they're slowing us down, and they're going to get us killed. You're the only one in the bunch who's good for anything, even if you are a girl. Arya froze in her steps. I'm not a girl. Yes, you are. Do you think I'm as stupid as they are? No, you're stupider. The Night's Watch doesn't take girls. Everyone knows that. That's true. I don't know why Yorn brought you, but he must have had some reason. You're still a girl. I am not. Then pull out your cock and take a piss. Go on. I don't need to take a piss. If I wanted to, I could. Liar. You can't take out your cock because you don't have one. I never noticed before when there were 30 of us, but you always go off in the woods to make your water. You don't see Hot Pie doing that, or me neither. If you're not a girl, you must be some eunuch. You're the eunuch. You know I'm not, Gendry smiled. You want me to take out my cock and prove it? I don't have anything to hide. Yes, you do, Arya blurted, desperate to escape the subject of the cock she didn't have. Those gold cloaks were after you at the end, and you won't tell us why. I wish I knew. I think Yoren knew, but he never told me. Why did you think they were after you, though? Arya bit her lip. She remembered what Yoren had said the day he had hacked off her hair. This lot, half of them would turn you over to the queen, quick as spit for a pardon and maybe a few silvers. The other half would do the same, only they'd rape you first. Only Gendry was different. The queen wanted him too. I'll tell you if you'll tell me, she said warily. I would if I knew, Ari. Is that really what you're called, or do you have some girl's name? Arya glared at the gnarled root by her feet. She realized that the pretense was done. Gendry knew, and she had nothing in her pants to convince him otherwise. She could draw a needle and kill him where he stood, or else trust him. She wasn't certain she'd be able to kill him, even if she tried. He had his own sword, and he was a lot stronger. All that was left was the truth. Lami and Hot Pie can't know, she said. They won't, he swore. Not from me. Arya, she raised her eyes to his. My name is Arya, of House Stark. Of House. It took him a moment before he said, the king's hand was named Stark, the one they killed for a traitor. He was never a traitor. He was my father. Henry's eyes widened. So that's why you thought. She nodded. Yorn was taking me home to Winterfell. You're highborn then. You'll be a lady. To paraphrase the greatest book opening ever, she knew the gig was up. It had been a nice operation, but it was all over. That's roughly the opening to the original stainless steel wrap.
There's one part in there. I think where is it? I think you're new, but he never told me.
Yep.
We know he got a message from the hooded man, which we're assuming is Dorcas. I wonder how much actually you're new about Gendry.
Yeah, I don't know, but would he perhaps have been able to recognize him? I mean, he's coming to King's Landing for all these years. He's probably seen Robert.
Yeah.
So he might have recognized him.
I wonder if there was a message in writing, because there was another message that we think, or I think, that Ned sent through Dorcas to Euron to take to John, basically. And with the death of Euron, pockets being grabbed and checked, and because I mean, there's no weapons left, so they definitely scoured through the corpses, grabbing whatever they could. There's the potential of that note from Ned that Euron had that's out there. I wonder if there is any kind of a note stating anything about Gendry. Also, that's out there.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, he definitely might have known, or he might have come to the same realization that others who've seen him recognized.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, obviously, he knew that there were reasons that somebody wanted him out of the castle, and he's not terribly surprised after that that people are trying to hunt him, right?
it was very protective of him.
Yep. Septim Mordain wouldn't even know me, I bet. Sansa might, but she'd pretend not to. My mother's a lady, and my sister, but I never was. Yes, you were. You were a lord's daughter, and you lived in a castle, didn't you? And you, gods be good. I never. All of a sudden, Gendry seemed uncertain, almost afraid. All that about Cox. I never should have said that. And I've been pissing in front of you and everything. I beg your pardon, milady. Arya never was a lady, but she was a lord's daughter and lived in a castle.
Yeah. This whole interaction is probably one of my favorite in the entire books. It's funny as hell, and the show did a pretty good justice. Even though the actor was a Jack Dempsey or something like that plays the
That's right.
the Gendry is too old for the role and everything, but I mean it you got the full humor from it, and they acted it really well. It was a really good scene in the show. It's an awesome scene in the books.
Oh yeah. If you start calling me milady, even Hot Pie's going to notice. And you better keep on pissing the same way too. As milady commands. Arya slammed his chest with both hands. He tripped over a stone and sat down with a thump. What kind of lord's daughter are you? He said, laughing. This kind. She kicked him in the side, but it only made him laugh harder. These two do like to wrestle. Good for them.
Yeah, there you go. That squirrel dress or acorn dress don't stand a chance.
Yep. You smell that? She asked. He sniffed the air. Rotten fish? You know it's not. We better be careful. I'll go around west, see if there's some road. There must be if you saw a wagon. You take the shore. If you need help, bark like a dog. That's stupid. If I need help, I'll shout help. She darted away, bare feet silent in the grass. When she glanced back over her shoulder, he was watching her with that pained look on his face that meant he was thinking. He's probably thinking that he shouldn't be letting Milady go stealing food. Arya just knew he was going to be stupid now. Arya tends to label a lot of things stupid, and Gendry has demonstrated multiple times that he is not, but I guess it's somewhat stupid that he gets himself caught.
Yeah. Again, like Hot Pie, I mean, she knows he's noisy. I don't see why. I know it furthers the plot.
Well, yeah, you're right. He insisted on coming. She didn't want him coming at all.
Yeah. Oh, there was something earlier, and it's the humor of this chapter, and the humor of Arya. When Lami's like, oh wait, that's later. Never mind. Go ahead.
All right. Where the trees began to thin, she used the undergrowth, slipping from bush to bush, quiet as a shadow. Syrio has taught her well.
Oh yeah.
Then there was a shout. The two spearmen turned at the cry, and a third man came into view, shoving a captive before him. It was growing too dark to make out faces, but the prisoner was wearing a shiny steel helm. And when Arya saw the horns, she knew it was Gendry. You stupid, 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 she thought. If he'd been here, she would have kicked him again. Gendry isn't really that stupid, but he's definitely not as sneaky.
No, he's for brute combat, not the sneaky way.
Just then, a breath of wind came sighing off the lake, and the banner stirred and lifted. The one on the tall staff bore the golden lion as she feared. On the other, three sleek black shapes ran across a field as yellow as butter. Dogs, she thought. I had seen those dogs before, but where? Last chapter, we learned about House Clegane.
There you go.
How many? I couldn't count, Arya admitted. 20 at least, but only 2 on the door. Hot Pie looked as if he were going to cry. We can't fight 20. You only need to fight 1. I'll do the other, and we'll get Gendry out and run. We should yield, Lami said. Just go in and yield. Honestly, there wouldn't be that much difference here from how it goes.
Yeah. When she comes back to them, Hot Pie stared at her with the big eyes. We thought you left us. He thought his short sword in hand, when Euron had taken off the gold cloaks. I was scared you was a wolf, which is a couple of times in this chapter that we get that you're a wolf imagery from her. Plus the through the trees and everything is a cat, so we get a little bit of both in here.
I like that. All right. Where was I? What if the wolves come? Yield, Arya suggested.
That's the one I was talking about. It's freaking
Yeah,
hilarious.
that is one of the funniest moments.
Yeah, she has John's kind of humor. They're very similar on they don't try to be funny, but it comes off funny, a dry humor type thing. So she,
Unfor- Unfortunately, Clegane's dogs are roughly as merciful as wolves, especially the Lamy.
yeah,
There's dead men hanging on the other side of the hedge, but they're nothing to be scared of. Just remember, fear cuts deeper than swords. Arya is becoming a teacher. Hot Pie never once looked up nor made a sound until the crow landed on his back and he gave a muffled gasp. Who's there? A voice boomed suddenly from the dark. Hot Pie leapt to his feet. I yield! He threw away his sword as dozens of crows rose shrieking and complaining to flap about the corpses. Arya grabbed his leg and tried to drag him back down, but he wrenched loose and ran forward, waving his arms. I yield! I yield! She bounced up and drew needle, but by then, men were all around her. Arya slashed at the nearest, but he blocked her with a steel-clad arm, and someone else slammed into her and dragged her to the ground. The third man wrenched the sword from her grasp. When she tried to bite, her teeth snapped shut on cold, dirty chainmail. Oh ho, a fierce one, the man said, laughing. The blow from his ironclad fist near knocked her head off. They took needle. The shame of that hurt worse than the pain, and the pain hurt a lot. John had given her that sword. Cyril had taught her to use it. Finally, someone grabbed the front of her jerkin and yanked her to her knees. Hot Pie was kneeling too, before the tallest man Arya had ever seen, a monster from one of Old Man's stories. She never saw where the giant had come from. 3 black dogs raced across his faded yellow surcoat, and his face looked as hard as if it had been cut from stone. Suddenly Arya knew where she had seen those dogs before. The night of the tourney at King's Landing, all the knights had hung their shields outside their pavilions. That one belongs to the Hound's brothers, as they confided when they passed the black dogs in the yellow field. He's even bigger than Hodor, you'll see. They call him the mountain that rides. Well, she knows who she's dealing with.
yes. Does she know the temperament and the stories about the man?
There's some interesting language there about how he's come from stone, from seemingly from nowhere. That almost sounds like waking stone giants.
Ooh, that's nice. I didn't catch that.
They found Lamy where they'd left him, under the oak. I yield, he called out at once when he saw them. He flung away his own spear and raised his hand splotchy green with old dye. I yield, please. The man with the torch searched around under the trees. Are you the last? Baker boy said there was a girl. She ran off when she heard you coming, Lamy said. You made a lot of noise. And Arya thought, run, Weasel. Run as far as you can. Run and hide and never come back. Yay, Weasel. She's willing to eat bugs and worms and kind of has learned how to do that.
Yeah.
So she might be able to survive and get somewhere.
Well, we get to like when Arya first comes back to them, tell them about Gendry. Before that, the Weasel has been known to grab her leg, and then this last time, Arya puts her arms around her. So there's a bond there, and I'm wondering if that bond will carry over to Nymeria and the Wolf Pack. And will the Wolf Pack?
She could be raised by wolves like a feral. We haven't really seen a. I don't know. We've seen a feral child. Well, I guess you could say Rickon is kind of like that, but
yeah.
But,
well, you're giving this young girl a animal name, Weasel, which might hint towards some skin changing ability. We never know. It's pretty thin, typical kind of stuff. But there is a bond. Does Nymeria pick up on that bond? And does the wolf pack itself adopt?
Yeah, we haven't actually seen someone raised by a wolf pack, right? Right. That's not what Rickon is. I mean, he is being raised with his wolf, but when we see him, he's more about unicorns than he is about wolf pack, right? So this is our wolf pack. So if we were going to have a wolf pack raise a kid, I like it. I like that a lot. That's a great theory.
With that, we know that we're going to see the wolf pack in the future, and it's not necessarily going to be Arya that's with that wolf pack. So for George to take space on the page and introduce the crying girl,
I like it. I like it a lot.
And then
it's a trope that he hasn't really done. The idea of a wolf pack taking in a human is something he hasn't actually done, and it's kind of a trope. So yeah, I like that a lot.
Well, instead of seeing Arya riding Nymeria's back on the wolf pack, just charging down somebody, we have the next best thing, which is Weasel which would be an Arya substitute for when we see the wolf pack again. So I'd keep an eye out for it.
Yep. Tell us where we can find that horse son Dendarian, and there'll be a hot meal in it for you. Who? Said Lami blankly. I told you this lot don't know no more than those cunts in the village. Waste of bloody time. One of the spearmen drifted over to Lami. Something wrong with your leg, boy? It got hurt. Can you walk? He sounded concerned. No, said Lami. You got to carry me. Think so? Then lifted his spear casually and drove the point through the boy's soft throat. Lami never even had time to yield again. He jerked once, and that was all. When the man pulled his spear loose, blood sprayed out in a dark fountain. Carry him, he says, he muttered, chuckling. Can we jump to the Mercy chapter next?
That would be nice.
Lizzie says, green dreams equal ability to change the world. Green men equals wisdom and people worshiping you. Green hands equals RIP Lami. Like the one time being associated with green doesn't help you.
Yeah, true.
Well, I mean, I think LML would probably say something along the lines of it shows us there's a sacrifice of the children of the forest or a green man or something, right?
Well, he's killed at the roots of a tree. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. We're never told what kind of tree
part
it
of the
is.
symbolism, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, Tyrion's 5th chapter is next, where he meets with the pyromancers and then uses his poison.
Do we have a mirror chapter with Ned on this one, or?
I mean, he's going around and meeting with people. Maybe the pyromancer meeting with the pyromancers. Maybe that's sort of like meeting with Tobomat. I don't know.
Well, when he meets with the blacksmith and all, don't we get the story about the Thorusamir lighting the sword with the wildfire? It's thin, but it's there. I don't know. I got to read the chapter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Interesting.
What time is it? I can't remember if I asked you or not. My first video was on Swap, and we're talking about glamours. And we're given Sir Arthur Dane with Don sticking from his back. Oh, was there?
Also, I would love to see Weasel in the Wolfpack.
There you go.
Dibs on that for a band name. Weasel
Wolf Not Wild. There you go. Yeah. But with Sir Arthur Dane and Don sticking out from his back, and Oswald went with his bat on his helm. Is it plausible or even possible that either one of them might be glamored? Taking like Rhaegar glamored as one of them.
I suppose I'm very skeptical of the ideas of people glamoring and swapping for because like the people that you're working with don't want to be dead either. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's involuntary on the part of the Lord of Bones. So
yeah,
we've seen it done. We've seen it done where it was one person's decision and not the others. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was the first video. It wasn't the first theory I ever came up with. It was the first video I did, and I think I did it after watching a Order of Green Hand video on glamour, and my theory was that Rhaegar wants to stay with Lyanna, can't stay with Lyanna. He has to go back to King's Landing. How can he be in two places at one time? There's a glamour. He sends Sir Arthur Dane in his place. You think he's going to win, right? He's the greatest knight the world has ever seen, and taking charge of an army. You're not expecting him to lose, but he did.
Well, that's part of why I don't really buy some of these theories. Is first off, I think Arthur is Arthur and Arthur is Mance, and I don't think there's much glamour needed there other than obviously Rattleshirt.
Yeah.
And then I don't really like anything where somebody is like subbing them out for somebody else to die in their place.
Yeah.
Those things I don't like any of those theories.
I know
we've seen it done. And Rattleshirt didn't have any say in the matter. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't like that. I don't like our characters doing that, right? I don't like the idea that John would like swap with Tormund and get Tormund killed, right?
Right.
That's not that doesn't fit, because like I said, that's clearly what happened with Rattleshirt. So I get
Right.
that. I'm just not a fan of that interpretation personally. I don't like
What got me on it was an interaction between Jamie and Prince Rhaegar, and Jamie's been with the king nonstop since he got. I mean, he went to King's Landing, but after that, he's the king's guy.
Mhm.
And then the prince is doing his own thing. Him and his best friend Sir Arthur Dane, if they swap, sent Arthur Dane glamored as Rhaegar back to King's Landing. On the way out, he puts his hand on Jamie's shoulder and basically kind of calms him down, said things will change. And then the other guy that was with I think it was Willem Derry, was like, just do your damn job. But I don't see Rhaegar taking time out of the day to go put his hand on Jamie's shoulder. Yeah, that's true.
Tormund would say John could never glamour him because his member
Yeah.
is way too small for it to ever be convincing. Direct quote, probably.
Lizzie, you're awesome. I swear. With the hospital this morning, my mood's a little bit off today, so I appreciate it. It's your humor is contagious. But enough of my glamour crap. I mean, it'd be all right. We're sitting 30
in
minutes.
general, I don't like those kind of swaps. In general, now I'm definitely open to the who's the guy that he has a few YouTube videos too. The guy who says that Mance is Ramsay. I'm blanking on his name. He has some pretty good YouTube videos.
Mance is Ramsay.
Yeah. That he had the ruby with him and had seen how to do glamour.
Mm-hmm.
And that so his theory on the pink letter was that it was Mance pretending to be Ramsay writing the letter.
Is Mance at Winterfell pretending to be Ramsay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saying that
I have not heard
basically
that.
he swapped them and killed Ramsay, right? That he swapped with Ramsay and killed Ramsay, and so now and that's why he has access to the Maester and the ability to send ravens. It's an interesting theory. It's an interesting theory. As I say, I need more information. I'll find it. I'm blanking on his name, and he does have some good YouTube videos too. He kind of like just sort of live vlog records, and but he's got great thoughts on A Song of Ice and Fire. But he only did like a few videos.
Yeah. Shoot, I'm all about it, man. As soon as you find out,
I'll find them. They're good YouTube videos. He writes good stuff. I'll find
throw it on Twitter. That way, Lizzie and this one, all that can get it.
Yeah. I gotta remember. I'm blanking on the name, but I'll go through. I'll find it. Rabbit holes.
That's I really like that one. I never heard it, but you know me, I like stuff.
Yeah. No. As I actually do think that there's something reached Bowen Marsh for him to break the seal and it no longer to be a nice pink button and then to reseal it, and that's why it's a smear of matte wax, right? So information in that letter includes information that came from outside, right? And they have changed it with information that they had available, including the fact that Bowen Marsh was the one who was eating with Mance when he didn't wear the bones, so he's almost certainly seen through the glamour, right? So he would know. So that's why some of that information is in the letter. He's the one that benefits. Clytus knows what's in the letter. Clytus is in on it and knows what's in the letter. Clytus is probably named to either sound like Judas or Brutus or both, right? Because he's the one who's betraying John and leading him to his death. So
you got Melisandre telling him to look to the skies. Melisandre knows a raven's coming. With her connection to Mance Rayder, that would I mean.
Yeah, it's not the only time when she knows that a raven is coming and what's in it. But the fact was that I think she did know what was coming in with the Raven, and yet she was still surprised by what was in the pink letter, right?
Well, what if that was the plan from the get go? Take Ramsey or Roose Bolton's spot, threaten John to try to get John.
Yeah. She may have been working with Mance to help to prep him for being able to make that swap. That's true.
Yeah, whether or not she wanted him to head south to Winterfell, or for him to be betrayed and need her to be brought back. If that's part of the process of what the plans for John were, and it had to happen that way for her goals and what she saw to come.
All right. So you were right up on this theory and the YouTube channel link. So I'll find it.
Oh, please do, man. I'm all ears now, man.
Now, to be clear, that this is not from the YouTube videos. This is from a post like on his blog or something. But
that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. But I'm just clarifying that the YouTube.
The only thing I don't go on is Reddit. I refuse to go on Reddit.
Why is that?
I went on there once. They were mean, so I haven't been back.
Yeah. I mean, they are definitely. Yeah, it's kind of funny because occasionally you'll get somebody asking to explain why there are holdouts from R plus L equals J, and there's not really much point in responding because
Is it a debate to where they can bash you?
I know, that's my point. It's like I can respond, but
I learned over a year ago not to put any theories on Twitter because that's just the same. It's like piranhas coming at you. So I keep them all for YouTube now.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Was it Tyrion 5 next? Yes. I think it's funny that him and Arya so far are matching chapter for chapter.
Yeah.
I would think that
2 stars of this book, basically.
Yeah. All right. You ready for Friday, same time?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. My kids are out, but I can put on a movie. They'll be good to go. So Friday, Tyrion 5, same bat time, same bat channel. Lizzie, Lady Thistle, we appreciate it. And Richard, as always, I appreciate this reread with you.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Yeah, thank you. It helps me see the book.
Adding some nice nice humor to the discussion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's picking up my slack today. I ain't throwing that much humor down, but I promise I'll be better prepared for Friday. But y'all be good, take care, and stay safe. Have a good one, Richard.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye. Thank you, Lady Thistle.
You're welcome, Lady Thistle. Thank you.
Bye.